TCS Metro Sports presents Penn State football. Penn State football is brought to you by Michelob. One smooth and mellow taste tells you that some things speak for themselves. And by Daly's Juice Products. Remind you, there's a Daly's treat for everyone. And by Westinghouse. More than 100,000 people around the world dedicated to quality and excellence. From Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa, it's the Penn State Nittany Lions against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Hello again, everybody. I'm Stan Savran. My partner, George Paterno, and I welcome you to Penn State football. In analyzing a football game or a football team, you need a basis of comparison. A year ago, Iowa quarterback Chuck Long completed 16 passes for 345 yards. This year, he also completed 16 passes, but for only 189 yards. So you can see the Penn State defense, and especially the secondary, did not allow the big play, and indeed, the defense was the hero of the game.
Oh, I agree, absolutely, Stan. You know, before the game, we said for Penn State to have a chance, they had to get an outstanding performance by their defense and their specialty teams, and that's what happened today. It was just superb defense, almost reminiscent of some of the old great Penn State defenses. I think at this stage of their development, they're on schedule, and only time will tell how good they can be.
The defense was superb all game long, but perhaps their performance was never more important than it was in the first quarter. The Penn State offense struggled, didn't even get a first down, and it was the Penn State defense that kept the Nittany Lions in the football game to put them in a position to win. We'll be back to show you what happened right after this.
Hey, don't stay up too late, huh?
Yeah, okay.
One way is through the annual Westinghouse Science Talent Search. In the past 36 years, Westinghouse has presented nearly $2 million in scholarships to hundreds of high school students. 5 have gone on to win the Nobel Prize. But the real triumph comes from every kid who reaches for something undiscovered.
Oh, Dad! Got it.
You can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
First half, watching the Penn State offense was almost like watching a rose bloom in time-lapse photography. Penn State was not able to get a first down in the entire first quarter, but they began to develop and bloom in the second quarter. The defense allowed them to stay in the game and allowed Penn State to grab a halftime lead. So Bruno will be in to kick. Robert Smith back at his own 20-yard line. Bruno's kick is wobbly off the side of his foot. Smith takes on a line drive, fumbles the football. Penn State has recovered. Drew Bykowski has recovered the fumble for Penn State at the Iowa 25-yard line. Now, breaks are fine, but if they don't convert it into points on the scoreboard, they're really meaningless.
Especially against a team like Iowa.
First down and 10, Penn State at the Iowa 25 after the fumbled punt. Mumford hit in the backfield and dropped for a loss at the 28-yard line. Paul Hufford and Kevin Spitzik. Second and 13, a throwing down. Mumford on a wing right.
Single coverage.
Strang throwing over the middle. It is almost intercepted. The pass intended for Hamilton, and it was almost intercepted by Devon Mitchell. Third down and 13. Throw set backfield. Receivers flank either side. Strang looking, throwing to the corner to Mumford. It is incomplete. Good coverage offered on the play once again by Devon Mitchell. So Nick Gancitano will attempt the field goal. It'll be a 44-yarder. Ball is up. It is long enough, and it is no good. He missed it wide to the right. Gancitano was 2 for 2 coming into the game, and Penn State has blown a golden scoring opportunity after recovering the fumbled punt. Iowa has the ball as we pick up the action. First and 10. Owen Gill inside the 10 and all the way down to the 7-yard line. And Iowa's doing a good job of attacking Penn State tackle to tackle. Both teams have committed turnovers. Owen Gill hit at the line of scrimmage and dropped for no gain by Dan Morgan. That time, they were not able to kick Morgan out. There comes Tom Nickel. He missed the field goal earlier today. 1 out of 2 on the season. A slight angle to the left. Kick is up. Kick is good. So Iowa breaks on top, starting the second quarter. Iowa leading 3-0, has the ball, first down and 10 just outside their 13-yard line. Long, he's hit, he fumbled, and Penn State has recovered at the Iowa 4-yard line. Shane Conlon with the recovery. Just in goal from the 4. Here's Smith trying to get outside. He is hit at the line of scrimmage, and he is stopped for no gain. Strang throwing in the end zone, incomplete. John Walter, the tight end, was wide open. He slipped.
Unfortunate for Penn State, they didn't take the opportunity there to get 6.
Well, Gancitano will attempt a 21-yard field goal, angle to his right. Kick is up, and the kick is good. So Gancitano ties it up, but it is a moral victory for Iowa. Penn State, first and goal in the 4, did not gain an inch. We move ahead to further action with the Lions in control again. Second down, long yardage. Strang with time, throws, got his man Hamilton at the 45 and out to the 47. Big league pass there to Eric Hamilton. Here's Strang. Here's the screen to Manoa. Got the first down to the 40, and he's knocked out of bounds at the Iowa 43-yard line. Here's Clark again. He cuts up. The 20, inside the 20 and down to the 17-yard line. Gancitano's field goal will be a 35-yard attempt. He's 1 out of 2 today. Ball is down. Kick is up. It is long enough, and it is good. So Nick Gancitano kicks his second field goal of the game. He's 2 for 3. Penn State's ball again later in the second quarter. Another possession down. Strang on a roll to the left. Looking, got a man wide open. It is caught. Herb Bellamy inside the 30. 55 seconds to play in the half. Third down, 6 yards to go. Penn State at the Iowa 24-yard line. Strang looking in the end zone, wide open, touchdown! Herb Bellamy for the touchdown. He ran the post pattern, and it's a touchdown pass. We move through further action with the Hawks in control again. The down is inconsequential. 10 seconds to play in the half. Iowa has 1 timeout left. It's a draw play. He's loose. Touchdown! Ronnie Harmon. Penn State expecting pass. They work the draw play to Ronnie Harmon. 16-yard touchdown. And this game has just taken a drastic change. There was no further scoring, and the half ended with the score, Penn State 13, Iowa 10. We'll be back right after this.
You know that the young is a green street for everyone. Fresh fruit, flavors, and good as can be. Loaded with tons of vitamin C. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, baby, that's just right for you. What are you waiting for? Because the herbivore, keep yourself to the farm. There's a daily treat for everyone.
Like the president of Merck & Company.
I'm Lloyd Huck, president of Merck & Company and a graduate of Penn State, and so are 250 other Merck employees. Penn State ranks number 2 among 1,273 colleges from which Merck employees graduated, and I'm proud of that.
Like the president of the United States Gypsum Company.
I'm Bob Day, class of 47. I'm president of the United States Gypsum Company, and I'm Penn State proud.
And the president of the Disney Channel.
I'm Jim Gennaro, Penn State, 1958. I majored in broadcasting at Penn State, and those 4 years set me on the course to be president of the Disney Channel. I couldn't have done it without that Nittany Lion education. I'm indebted to Penn State and proud to be part of the Penn State family.
Penn State, proud of our winning tradition.
Everyone is aware of the high standards and principles that Joe Paterno employs on the Penn State football program, but many schools around the country have compromised those standards in order to remain competitive. With the game as competitive as it is, has Coach Paterno thought about compromises?
Well, I've always felt a lot of people who compromised really played into our hands, because I think that a lot of times they brought in people that were not going to be that good, that they had to kind of retreat the whole level of their program to be able to handle some kids that were not really not the quality that we're talking about. So I've never felt that we had to, in any time, do things differently than we've done them in order to be competitive. And I to this day don't feel that way. I think the minute you bring in some people that are not of good character, or maybe not able to handle the work academically, you end up spending all your time with those kids, and you neglect the rest of your kids. I often compare it to a guy who's a pretty good real estate operator. He may have 5 or 6 good pieces of property, and he has one that's a problem for him. And because he's got a little bit of pride, he wants to make the bad one good. And in the process of trying to make the bad one good, the other pieces go down, because you only get so much time and effort and interest. So I think we know what we want to do. We're comfortable with what we're doing. We think we can stay competitive. I've never doubted that at any time.
After giving Iowa a touchdown late in the first half, the Nittany Lions came out in the third quarter, and it looked like they were not going to be stunned by that late Iowa touchdown. But another turnover prevented them from getting on the board. But late in the third quarter, the Penn State offense put on its best drive of the game and best drive of the season as they once again built their lead over the Hawkeyes to 10 points. Strang rolling. He's got room if he wants to run. He throws. He's got his man. It is caught by Campbell at the Iowa 42-yard line, close to the 41. Keith Hunter made the tackle, but it's a strong gain of 13 yards. 1 minute, 40 seconds to play in the third quarter. Penn State leading 13-10. Clark, first down and then some, inside to the 35-yard line. But David Clark getting his first opportunity to play. Penn State at the Iowa 35-yard line. Manoa, big hole, 30, and gets inside the 30 to the 27, 26-yard line. Second down, and a yard and a half to go for a first down. Strang over the middle, and it is caught for a first down at the 16-yard line. Clark, maybe a yard to the 15-yard line, not much there. And that will be the last play of the third quarter. Manoa and Clark in an eye behind Doug Strang. Campbell with motion. Strang's in trouble. He's looking, he fires in the end zone. It is incomplete. And a flag on the play. We may have interference called on Iowa. Now remember, it'll only be half the distance to the goal line. Clear is the man guilty, but I don't know how guilty he was. I'd appeal to a higher court. First and goal at the 2-yard line for the Nittany Lions. Clark, good block. Clark, stop at about the 6-inch line. Strang, quarterback sneak, touchdown, Penn State. Doug Strang on the quarterback sneak, and the Nittany Lions have driven for their second touchdown of the game. After Strang's touchdown to increase Penn State's lead, the Hawkeyes have the ball. Slot to the right. Gill behind Long, who's dropping the rush. Over the middle, and it is caught. Wide open is J.C. Jordan Love. He's got a first down at the Penn State 25. Owen Gill hit hard, but still managed to get a couple. Here's Harmon. Breaks a tackle. Inside the 10. Out of bounds at the 2-yard line. Iowa from the power I. First and goal from the 2. Quarterback sneak. Chuck Long. Touchdown. Chuck Long, the quarterback sneak, and Iowa can move to within 3. Following the Iowa touchdown, the Lions have the ball. And now Bruno will be kicking with the wind. Good punt by John Bruno. Good punt. Smith over the shoulder at his 30. Breaks a tackle. He's in the open. Look out. He fumbles. The ball's loose. Bruno's got it. He cannot advance it, but Penn State has recovered. We move to further action in the fourth quarter with the Hawkeyes in control again. 2nd and 9 from the Penn State 37-yard line. Long calling it audible. Give off. Harmon again beats a tackler. Gets inside the 35 and down to the 34-yard line. There's the rollout, just I suspected. Long makes a move. Another one. He's close to the first down. 4th down. And a yard to go for a first down. Here's a pitch wide. And it's going to be close. Hartman may have been stopped short. Penn State has held them on defense. 4th and 1. They missed it by half a yard. There was no further scoring, and the game ended with a score. Penn State 20, Iowa 17. We'll be back right after this.
My dream is to be a goalie for the New York Islanders.
Because of kids like Jeff, the people at Westinghouse radio and television stations in Pittsburgh began raising money for Children's Hospital. Over the last 30 years, it's meant millions of dollars. And that's kept a lot of dreams alive. You can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
Only football earns enough money to support itself. 27 other men's and women's sports owe their very existence to the generosity of the more than 12,000 members of the Nittany Lion Club, whose contributions provide grants and aid for 330 student athletes. Join the Nittany Lion Club. Call toll-free 1-800-231-LION. Out of state, 1-800-NITTANY. Or write to the Nittany Lion Club, Greenberg Sports Complex, University Park, Pennsylvania, 16802. Gifts are tax deductible.
The offensive and defensive players of the game are brought to you by Daly's Juice Products. We remind you there's a Daly's treat for everyone. And by Westinghouse. More than 100,000 people around the world dedicated to quality and excellence. And by Bud Light, the less filling beer with the first name in taste. The defensive player of the game is Ray Isom. Ray is a sophomore in the College of Business Administration from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The Penn State defense was extremely impressive today, holding the powerful Iowa offense to just 17 points and under 200 yards in each of the rushing and passing categories. Isom played well from his safety position. He had 7 solo tackles and assisted in 2 others. However, Isom's biggest tackle was undoubtedly the one he made stopping Iowa on 4th and 1 late in the 4th quarter. Ray was a first-team All-State defensive back at Harrisburg High School. His brothers, Marion and Ricky, played collegiate football at Purdue and North Carolina State, respectively. The offensive player of the game is Doug Strang. Doug is a senior majoring in accounting from Linwood, New Jersey. Doug has to be the leader of this Penn State offense, the senior quarterback, and it was obvious today when he's hot, so is the Nittany Lion offense. After a very slow start last week against Rutgers and in the first quarter of this contest against Iowa, Strang came on to complete 11 of 27 passes for 157 yards and 1 touchdown. Although still not as sharp as he showed in the latter part of last season, Doug showed some signs today that he can still throw the ball with authority and become one of the leading passers in college football. Let's hope these good points continue to show, because if they do, this Penn State team will develop, as Coach Joe Paterno says, into a very good football team. Congratulations to Doug Strang and Ray Isom, this week's players of the game. Barry beat Delaware 23-21, scoring the winning touchdown with no time on the clock. So William & Mary comes to Beaver Stadium next week with a record of 2-0. The Indians are led by junior quarterback Stan Yagiello. Last year he completed 63% of his passes, and last week against VMI he had on 20 of 33 for a touchdown. Mike Clemens is one of his prime receivers, saw limited action last year, but last week rushed for 52 yards, had a touchdown, also caught 7 passes for 55 yards. Another favorite target of Yagiello is senior Glenn Bodnar, the tight end. Against VMI, he had 5 catches, 26 yards, and a touchdown. The tribe of William & Mary loves to run the ball. Bobby Wright, the senior fullback, 56 yards and a touchdown last week against VMI. averaging only 4 yards a carry a year ago. William & Mary has lost a big man on defense, Mark Kelso, the free safety, had 98 unassisted tackles, but he tore his knee up in practice on Thursday and is not sure who will be in the defensive secondary for William & Mary. Most people will look at William & Mary game as a game Penn State should win. They will look at it as a valley between the peaks of Iowa and Texas. But if you're a young football team, you want to keep improving each week regardless of the competition.
Absolutely, Stan. And if you're young, you can't take anybody lightly. I mean, a football team will either get better or will get worse. And in this particular situation, I'm sure Joe wants Penn State to get better. There's plenty of room for improvement, certainly in the offense. And I'm sure he won't let their heads get too high in the clouds after this good win over Iowa. So from here on in, I think Penn State will just put their nose to the grindstone and try to get better each week.
So 2 2-0 teams head to Beaver Stadium next week. We hope you'll be with us on next week's show. That's it for Penn State football this week. For my partner George Paterno and everyone here at TCS Metro Sports, this is Stan Savran saying thank you for watching, and until next time, so long, everybody. Penn State football has been brought to you by Westinghouse. More than 100,000 people around the world dedicated to quality and excellence. And by Daly's Juice Products, who remind you there's a Daly's treat for everyone. And by Bud Light, the less filling light beer with the first name and taste.
This is Joe Paterno's TV Quarterbacks, and this is show number 2 of the 1984 season. My name is Fran Fisher. I'm here usually each week. Joe is always here each week, of course, and a player guest joins us. We're delighted to have as our special guest on this evening's program, Penn State quarterback Doug Strang. Doug, welcome.
Thank you.
You look wonderful, and I suppose that this is one of your many appearances you've made on television.
I think this will be the first one.
First one.
First one.
I won't be the last.
It won't be the last.
And it won't be Coach Paterno's last either. Joe, congratulations to you, the staff, the squad, everybody concerned. It was a fine win, and if you excuse the trite phrase team effort, that kind of describes it, doesn't it?
Well, I think it was a good effort. It was a good win. It's not a win I'm going to get carried away with. There were obviously a lot of things in it that we've got to do better to be a really good football team. But to take a team that's fairly young and to go away from home and play before a very enthusiastic home crowd as Iowa crowd was, and great people. I tell you, the Iowa fans were really great. They were very magnanimous after the game and what have you. And to see a bunch of kids hang in there and have some things not happen the right way early, and particularly offensively, and see the offensive kids just hang in there until they get some things straightened out, and then play a good offensive football game after the first period. And the whole thing, it was good. It really was, and I'm pleased.
You talked about the offense having a slow first quarter, I guess is the way to put it. The rest of the game, they did not have a slow second, third, and fourth quarter. Any particular reason for that?
Yeah, I think that Iowa moves their defenses quite a bit, and I think that we made a couple mistakes on the offensive line. Maybe we didn't recognize a coverage or two early, that kind of thing. But that's what you got to get used to. You got to get used to being able to adjust to different things that a defense may do to you. You can't all of a sudden get upset because they moved from an Oklahoma to a stacked defense and somebody misses an assignment, you know, and then everybody gets a little bit uptight. And we have not been able to make plays either at Rutgers or the first quarter against Iowa. We couldn't make some things happen for ourselves when we did have a mistake or two. And I think we started to do that after the first quarter of Iowa. We started to make some plays. Things you've got to do, because a ball game is not, the way people play defense today, they're going to make you a little bit erratic. They jump around a little bit, or they stun at the right time. But when everything is in there together, when you hit the right play for the right defense, you got to make it. And we haven't been doing that. We started to do that in the second quarter on.
It was an outstanding football game for everybody. It was particularly gratifying, of course, to Penn State fans. If you haven't seen any of the highlights of the game, we'd like you to watch them now. Penn State in Iowa City, Iowa, on a beautiful Saturday afternoon for football. And in the first quarter of the ball game, not a great deal of offense. Penn State's fine defense and the punting of John Bruno kept the Iowa Hawkeyes pretty much in check. Here we see Bruno's first punt of the ball game, a 52-yarder, going out of bounds at the 10-yard line in Iowa territory. Iowa did move out and get a drive together, but Long, the quarterback, on the 2nd and 9 from the Penn State 20, tries to turn and reverse his direction, but the aggressive Penn State defense, led by Dan Morgan and Tommy Manchantonio and Bobby White, throwing for a loss. Iowa did muster a field goal in the first quarter to take a 3-0 lead. Moving out of the first play in the second quarter, it's the Hawkeyes 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line, and Shane Conlon blows through the gap, shakes the ball loose, and recovers the fumble at the Iowa 4-yard line. And the Nittany Lions are in business. The Iowa Hawkeye defense, however, stiffens. The Nittany Lions unable to move, and on 4th and goal, Kevin Campbell comes in to hold. Nick Gancitano for the field goal. Gets up and through, and it's a tie ball game at 3 early in the 12. Penn State at its 30-yard line. And Strang is back to pass and looks over the middle and completes to Eric Hamilton for the first down at the Penn State 47-yard line. 3rd and 5 now, Penn State at the Iowa 48. Strang drops straight back, dumps it out to Timmy Manoa at midfield, and the big fullback from Pittsburgh lowers the boom. 11-yard gain. First down, Penn State at the Iowa 37. From a split back set, now this is David Clark, the tailback, getting 7 big yards on the first down carry. All the way to the Iowa 30-yard line to give Penn State a 2nd and 3. From the I formation this time, Clark gets a good hole, bursts into the secondary, gets 12 yards, and a first down at the Iowa 18-yard line. And with Campbell holding, Nick Gancitano kicks a 35-yarder, and Penn State takes the lead for the first time by a score of 6-3. And the deep handoff goes to Tony Mumford, who gets important yardage to pick up the first down at the Penn State 29. 1st and 10 for the Nittany Lions. This is Steve Smith, the up back in the eye now, getting the handoff, shaking a tackler right at the hole, keeps his balance, and good strong running gets good yardage for Smith, a gain of 14 yards to the Penn State 41-yard line. And on another important 3rd down at the Penn State 48, Strang with a little roll to the right, finds Eric Hamilton on the comebacker, a gain of 8 yards, first down at the Iowa 44. And still another 3rd down, this one 3rd and 9 at the Iowa 43. Rolling left this time, Strang pulls up and delivers a strike to Herb Bellamy, a 15-yard gain, first down at the Iowa 28. Moving now to a 3rd and 6 at the Iowa 24. It's a straight drop by Strang, looking right. Post pattern run by Bellamy, who has his man beat in the end zone for the catch, and Penn State's touchdown gives the Nittany Lions the lead 13-3 with just 48 seconds remaining in the first half. Good contingent of Penn State fans out in Iowa City. Manka's kickoff now is high, and it's going to be fielded by Harmon. Very dangerous kick return man. Went the distance last week against Iowa State. Gets some running room, and now starts to turn on the speed to the left sideline. Sidner closing on him, number 27. Finally collars him. And a 50-yard return for Harmon gives the Hawkeyes a 1st and 10 at the Penn State team, Iowa 10. 2nd and 1. There's a little look-in, slant pattern right to left. Strang to Hamilton as the third quarter comes to a close. Penn State leading 13-10. Penn State moved in very close thanks to a pass interference penalty, and Doug Strang sneaks in from the 1-yard line. Dan Paterno adds the extra point, and very early in the fourth quarter, Penn State has taken a 20-10 lead. The Iowa Hawkeyes are not about to roll over, and we pick up the action now with a 3rd and 3, Iowa at its 39-yard line. Long on a short drop, passes it near the left sideline and complete to Happel for a 6-yard gain on the next play from a power set. Long keeps and sneaks. The kick is good. The touchdown is good, and so is the extra point, and Penn State's lead is cut to 20-17. On Penn State's next possession, they're forced to punt. John Bruno sends it deep downfield. Smith has to give ground to make the grab, and then comes to the near sideline. This is a very good kick returner in his own right. Smith gets a crack and starts downfield. Duffy Cobbs comes in, and a block tackle knocks the ball loose. John Bruno, the punter, is going to come into your picture and recover the fumble, and Penn State gets the ball back. Penn State will punt again, but from a lot better field position, as a happy Penn State bench congratulates Bruno on the fumble recovery. This time, Bruno with a punch kind of kick, pops the ball to the 7-yard line, and it flops back to the 10, where it's covered by Kellen. On 4th and 1, they go with the pitch to Harmon. Sidner closes it off on the outside. Harmon is forced inside. Zordich makes the tackle, and the Iowa running back is stopped short of the first down. The Penn State defense has made another big play, telling everybody that it's Penn State's ball. That's the way it was, and that's the way the score was. Penn State 20, Iowa 17. Good win for the Nittany Lions. Joe, I'm always reluctant to mention individual people, but I couldn't help but think that fans would say, oh boy, DJ Dozier's not going to play, but you certainly have to give credit to your tailback crew.
Well, Tony Mumford played very well. They ran hard, hung on to the football, and blocked well, and they're good football players. They really are, and they were too anxious to make it.
We not have a tailback here, but we have a guy that hands the ball to them. We have Linwood, New Jersey's pride, the quarterback, Doug Strang, and Doug, I don't know what we're looking at here, but I don't think we want to run that just yet, but we are running it, and I'm a little confused. So if you can cue that back, we'll get it a little later. Doug, the thing I wanted to ask you was, I read a quote of yours after the game was over about the first pass you completed seemed to give you some sort of an uplift in spirit. Was that a confidence builder, or did that get the team going, do you think?
Yeah, I really think, personally, you always look to hit that first pass. You try, and then as soon as you hit it, you feel like you're on a roll, and you keep, get things going. I think it also it helped the team to get some confidence in themselves. Our offensive line was doing a good job, and it was good for them to get some sort of a payoff for the pass blocking that they were doing.
Joe mentioned the fact that he's been asking you to do some more things that might necessitate getting another quarterback. Is part of the offensive plan you doing a little more ball carrying, or is that run-pass option being called more often?
I think it's just been called in situations where you have a choice to run or pass, and it leaves you a lot of different alternatives. And it's a good play, and I think I enjoy running it because it allows the quarterback a little bit more freedom, and it does wear you out. That's the deficit about it. It wears you out, but if you don't do it too much and you do it to the fullest extent, it could be good for you.
I don't like him to get all those shots either. Though.
That's what I was thinking.
The point I don't like. In fact, we've done more probably in the first 2 games. Doug may not realize it, but we've probably asked him to put some pressure on the corner 3 or 4 times more than we may have done in the first 2 games last year.
We have a piece of tape that looks at a run-pass option, or at least what I think is a run-pass option. Why don't we bring that thing up and talk a little bit about this play, Doug?
Okay, what this basically is I'm rolling out here. I think this is a scramble, but I think I turned it up a little bit too quick there. I think Joe let me know that in the game. I have a tendency now to pull it up and try to run a little bit too quickly rather than looking at field and trying to find the secondary receivers.
So that was not a run pass. So that was a pass play, and you pulled it down. And now, what made you decide to run instead of throw?
I think you look for the pocket. You have a feeling for a pocket. It's kind of like an instinct when you can feel the pocket breaking down on you. Sometimes you're supposed to step up in the pocket and try to throw the ball. And I think lately I've had more of a tendency to step up and keep going. And I hope it's not becoming a habit. I'm going to try to break it and look downfield a little bit better.
We have another player that I get the feeling that is a definite quarterback run the ball kind of play. Talk about this play.
Okay, this is the quarterback option. I'm trying to fake it like it's a pass, and we have a guard pulling on it, and we try to sneak up behind him and try to hide behind the big guard and try to pull a big one, kind of get the defense off balance.
So there's no option there. That was they call it quarterback draw, or is that accurate?
It's like a quarterback counter. It's basically you don't have the option to pass on that one. It's built
designed
to be a run. Yeah.
Doug, I think one of the nice things about this program is the fact that we do get some young people watching it around the state, or in fact, around the nation, and we like to like those young people that meet our coach and our players. And you're a very successful quarterback, very successful student. And do you have any advice for a 7th grader that really would like to play big college quarterback? What would you tell them?
I think the biggest thing that they have to get straight in their mind is it's got to be a commitment. Both academically and on the football field. I think before you can do anything, you got to do the best you can in the classroom. And because in the head, you're going to have like 10 guys looking you straight in the eye as a quarterback, and they're going to have better respect for you if they know you're putting the time in the classroom. And also, it's got to be a commitment to be a little bit different. You got to turn people down for certain things and go out there and work a little bit harder every day. And sometimes on your own, when your friends might be doing other things, you got to make a commitment to yourself that you're going to get better.
Doug Strang's gotten awfully good in my eyes.
Well, Doug's lived by that. He's not only done it, he's not only talking, he's done it. He is an outstanding student. He's an outstanding leader. And he leads by example. He's not one of those holler guys. And the kids I think our squad has tremendous respect for him. I know we as coaches do. I've always had great respect for him.
Well, so do the fans, and so do old broadcasters and old broadcasters' grandsons, and everybody else have respect for him. Part of the Penn State tradition, of course, is tailgating. We were at Iowa yesterday, and they have a nice tailgate piece of business, but I don't think there's any place in the country that tailgates quite as efficiently and as well as our fans do. They're well behaved, and you know what I'm leading into here. We have a recipe book that will enable you to prepare all kinds of delicious food at home and then bring it to the stadium and enjoy it. And all you have to do to get a free copy of this recipe book is to...
I think they're working towards it. They're young, and they're a couple of the kids who had more experience. The George Alperts and the Rocky Washingtons have been hurt, so they have not been able to do much with Doug. But I think they're getting better. I think yesterday Herb Bellamy did well, and Kevin Campbell did well. I think they're going to get close to Doug. Hopefully, in a couple of weeks, we'll have a super quarterback and super wideouts.
I just wonder what I would suspect that you feel these wide receivers who are young. You're feeling more comfortable with them each practice too, wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, I've been working with these receivers for basically all summer and into this preseason and in the first few games. So you begin to establish a feeling, and it's getting better each week.
Okay. I think we have another special guest. You have a certain responsibility as the captain to make sure these guys understand that Iowa's finished and there's another game coming. Is that part of your role?
I think definitely it's part of our role. We try to establish something mentally on the team. We usually have a player squad meeting and try to get everybody's eyes directed towards our next game, not overlook a team like William Mary and look into a Texas or so forth. We try to direct, each game by game and try to get on the same grounds, with their teammates.
All right, we've run out of videotape, which means that the show's almost over. We would invite you to ask questions to Coach Paterno. We don't have a lot of time in this program, but if you want to write a question in, feel free to do so, and if we're inclined to ask it, we'll do that. We hope you join us each week. We're going to be here. So long, everybody.
Joe Paterno.